Source is a podcast made by women for women. We're looking at the topics that are influencing women and the world they live in, and we're shedding a light on those topics. We're speaking with the national experts. We're bringing you the stories you're only going to hear here. Don't miss out on being in the know. Subscribe to Soul Source wherever you listen to podcasts today and leave us a review. This part's really important. That way we can continue to bring you the content you love each and every week. So buckle up, Soul Source Society, because we're about to get started.
And what I've heard from so many women, they said, I wished I would have decided to be myself from the very beginning.
Hello, I'm Lisa Cruz, your guest host of Soul Source. Today, we're talking with an amazing woman. Our guest today saw a need to empower women in a male-dominated field, so she took it upon herself to start a fashion line for women in manufacturing. I know you'll love today's guest. She's an amazing entrepreneur with a wonderful passion for what she does. We're speaking with Ana Kraft, founder and CEO of Xena Workwear for women. Ana, welcome to Soul Source.
Thank you so much for having me today.
So tell us a little bit about how Xena Workwear got started. And of course, we want to know what's behind the name.
Yeah. To be honest, I have never planned to go into the footwear business. I'm not really into fashion, but how the whole idea started was I worked as a project engineer in manufacturing facilities. And every time we had to plan multi-million-dollar sessions, I was the only woman in the room. I was responsible to lead teams of engineers through the project planning session, and I had to dress professionally. And then every time we'd wrap up those meetings, all the guys would go out on the shop floor, and I was the only one who had to tell everyone, like, hey guys, wait, I have to run back to my desk and put on my clunky, terrible safety shoes. And at that time, most of the steel toes were basically designed for men. And myself and my coworkers, we always complained about the same problem. Like, why do we all hate our safety shoes? And like, they seem to be designed and made for men. So many companies applied the shrink it and pink it concept, where they take men's boots, make them smaller and make them pink. And this is just not what I wanted to wear as a professional woman in those meetings. So basically that concept, that idea came out of my personal frustration working in the space and being so tired of this, of my safety boots, that I decided to come up with the very first model myself and start a company focusing on women's needs. And the question regarding the name came up when we had, of course, every company needs a name, and I was brainstorming a bunch of names with my friends and asked them, okay, I need a name that sounds like a strong, badass woman. And they threw out a bunch of different names, and one of them was Xena, and I fell in love with it immediately. And yeah, the rest is history.
As soon as I heard about the name Xena Workwear, the first thing that came to mind is badass working woman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's how basically how the company was started. My background goes way back. I studied in Germany and moved to the US, first for an internship, and then met my husband here. And after a lot of back and forth, I decided to move here. Love Milwaukee. There's the strong manufacturing presence here in the Midwest, so it was the perfect place also to start a workwear company focusing on the needs of women in manufacturing, engineering, and construction.
And tell me a little bit about your background in engineering and manufacturing. And then also, did you have any experience in fashion overall?
I had zero experience in fashion. I studied, it's called International Project Engineering in Germany, and at Reutlingen University in Southern Germany. And the reason was because I was very passionate about renewable energies, and I always wanted to have a job that would, one, allow me to be financially independent, and the other reason was I wanted to have a degree that would allow me to have an impact in the world. So that's why I decided to go into engineering, and it was the perfect program for me, because about 50% of it was engineering subjects. I have a very broad background in those, and the other 50% were project management, innovation management, intercultural competences, because it was international. We had to learn like how do people do business in Japan, in the US, and South America. So that was kind of cool. That's how I came to Waukesha for the very first time. And I kind of stumbled into fashion. I'm someone who I don't like shopping, but I like to put together at work and when I go out. So that's why I love the whole capsule wardrobe. I don't know if you have heard about the concept where you have a smaller quantity of clothes, but you get the maximum kind of variability out of it, where you can mix and match pieces. So I like to invest in high quality pieces that I can get a lot of wear out of, and that help me to feel confident. And like that's another thing that we like with red shoes, how it makes shoes somehow have this power to help women feel confident. It's something about shoes that allows you to express yourself, to feel way more confident by just having a nicer steel-toed boot. I can show you one of them here. Just having a nicer steel-toed boot, it opens so many opportunities to dress more professionally and just feel like yourself instead of dressing like a dude in the workspace.
I love that. And of course, at Red Shoes, we can totally relate to that. The shoes can make all the difference. It just gives you that boost of confidence. And what you just held up for the viewers and for those who are listening, it's an example or a sample of one of your work boots. It looks like nothing that you would typically see in the work setting or manufacturing setting. They are beautifully done.
Thank you so much. Yeah. That was kind of, it was challenging to kind of try to learn everything. Of course, I had to learn everything about the American ASTM standards, because these shoes have to perform on the job sites. They need certain safety features depending on the work environment. So they have to be sent to an independent lab in the US. And so they feature a steel toe cap, a protective toe cap, a slip resisting rubber outsole. Then we have other models that have more ankle coverage, an electric hazard rating. So in case women who work in, let's say, as electricians and those types of environments, that protects from an electric shock. And we have many more models with additional safety features depending on the work site. So it's been kind of fun to experiment, like pushing the boundaries of developing something nice, at the same time maintaining all the safety features.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful work boot. So tell me a little bit about your experience as being an entrepreneur. You started your company out of a pain point, is what I would call it, or frustration. Do you think that's a common experience for women entrepreneurs to start something up out of that pain point or frustration?
I think that is one of the ways how you can find your personal passion. I've heard so far two theories. One is you can think about the things that you get most energy from, that excite you the most. That's kind of Oprah's approach. She's like, think about the things that give you joy and like make you feel excited about something. And then the other way to find your passions is think about all the areas of life that you're frustrated about. And instead of complaining about them, you could do something about it. Just pick one area in your life that you're most kind of frustrated about and do something about this. So this is how I decided to start Xena. I'm like, okay, I should stop complaining about this. I was thinking about launching a business anyway, so brainstormed a bunch of different ideas, and I always needed a purpose behind everything I do. And that's also related to some of the nonprofit work I do. So I thought, I cannot just start a business to make money. I need something that will give me a bigger purpose. And like the way we impact women in the workplace is kind of really cool. The feedback that we get from all over the world is just very empowering, because you know it yourself as an entrepreneur, there are so many ups and downs. There are amazing days and there's so many just terrible days where you,
Exactly.
why am I even doing this? I could have a job where I can just go, like staying in the corporate world would have been probably easier. But those comments from women is something that keeps us going during the tough times.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. It is tough being an entrepreneur. So tell me a little bit about the feedback that you've received from some of the women who are wearing your boots.
Yeah, so when we just launched Xena in May of 2019, we've decided to go with a soft launch. Um, Basically, like not spending a lot of advertising. Also, we didn't have a lot of money at that time, and it was so impressive. I think we just posted on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, like, "Hey, we're finally launching this," and I shared my story behind it. And the feedback that I received was just mind blowing. Like I knew already, I knew from my coworkers, and my friends in engineering who did not like their boots, but receiving comments from all over the US and even internationally saying like, "Oh my God, I've been waiting for better safety shoes. Like I hated mine so much. I feel ridiculous like the boots that the women used to wear made them feel like they did not belong. They did not feel like themselves." And um, our boots really changed the confidence levels in women and across the globe. And what we also got from those comments is, "Hey, we love that boot that you designed for the manufacturing environment, but we need something for the construction side. So we want to be the brand that actually listens to women's needs." So the next comment was to design a boot with more ankle coverage with additional safety certifications. So, and we keep listening to our customers. We send out surveys on a regular basis. We have a very long spreadsheet of requests and ideas from women all over the world. And while we cannot deliver on all of them at once, we revise them on a quarterly basis and tackle them one by one.
I love that. You're just generating feedback all the time and taking that into consideration. I love that. So, what does it mean for you as a woman business owner, as manufacturing these boots and bringing this to women, to know that you're inspiring that confidence? What does that mean to you?
I think it's a bold thought, but I think that we have the power to impact the overall numbers of women in these fields. Right now, there are about 28% of women in the STEM fields. We have only 2 to 3% of women in the skilled trades. If you combine management and construction jobs in the overall in the construction sector, we have about 10%, and we can do so much better. And I think shoes and workwear is just a small part of this whole thing, but we as a brand want to do so much more. We want to help women get into these well-paid professions, want them to succeed in these professions, and we want more girls to have the confidence to explore these really nice jobs that they have not considered before. For some reason, girls start to lose confidence around the age between 12 and 14 and think that they can't do math and can't do physics and they're not supposed to be in certain job roles. And we want to change that through our blog posts. We love to share inspiring stories of women, of course, providing better gear. We started with safety shoes and we'll expand into workwear as well. And overall, support girls nonprofits that inspire young women to go into these fields. So it's a whole concept of things that will, in the end, hopefully help more women succeed in these fields.
I love that because it sounds like you really have a larger vision for what you want to do. And as you said, the workwear as it stands today is just one piece of that. So I'll be excited to hear more about what your vision is for the future. So what advice do you have for women in manufacturing overall?
What I've heard from so many women is, and I experienced it myself, I think you will be much more successful if you are authentic and if you try to be yourself. Sometimes it is difficult for women to fit into these male-dominated fields, and they try to sometimes to be one of the guys. Like that's the way they dress, the way they walk, the way they talk. But this is unfortunately, if you're not being yourself, this is not a recipe for success. Like at some point, you will just not fully flourish in your job role. And what I've heard from so many women, they said, I wish I would have decided to be myself from the very beginning. Uh, it takes women a longer time to prove themselves once they get into these careers, because there's unconscious bias. Like we still have to deal with this, unfortunately, but it is so much better to be yourself, show up confidently, do your do what you enjoy doing, and people will appreciate having you on the team, just being yourself.
I couldn't agree more. I often talk about that. Authenticity is huge. And personally, I wish I would have been my authentic self right from the get-go. You know, it's kind of a change you have to undergo, but if we can help girls and women get there sooner, the better in terms of authenticity. So what advice would you give to women entrepreneurs too, now that you've experienced this process? What if somebody's out there thinking about starting their own business? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Entrepreneurship is one of the most difficult things in the world. And I read about this before I started the business, but when I launched it myself, I'm like, oh, damn, people are right. It is tough. Let's see. There are probably a few pieces of advice. So in the beginning, and this is like, I'm speaking of my personal lessons learned. In the beginning, when you start your own company, there will be so many people who will want to give you advice, who have built businesses before, who think they're so much smarter than you. So what we did in the beginning is every time we had a mentor session, and they would confidently say, like, what you guys are doing is wrong. You should be doing it this way. We pivoted every couple of weeks, like, oh my goodness, like this guy or this woman who have built a successful business gave us a piece of advice. So we pivoted constantly in the beginning, like, oh my goodness, like we were going this direction and this direction. And then after a while, we finally had to learn for ourselves, like, maybe we should not take every piece of advice that seriously. Like it's good to listen to those people, but you know best what is good for your business. You should know what your long-term vision is. And we just over time got the confidence to say, like even with investors, to say, thank you for your feedback. We don't think that this is the right fit for Xena Workwear. So that is one piece of advice, just trusting your own feelings, trusting your own gut. You know where you're going, and try not to be too overwhelmed by the amount of feedback you hear from other people, especially naysayers. And there, some women don't even, or people don't even share that they have an idea, because your ideas are very vulnerable in the very beginning. And that's something I learned from Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. She did not tell anyone for a whole year that she wanted to start this business, because your family and your friends will want to protect you and will tell you like, hey, like they will start poking holes, and like you may give up before you even started. So I would be very careful with not getting discouraged too soon, and just making the first step. It's so important to talk about those ideas, but then just making the first step and giving it a shot is so important. And not being, the other probably piece of advice would be not being afraid to fail. That's something I struggled myself with, because when we decided to launch the company and send out a press release, I was so nervous. I could not even, was so nervous, thinking like, oh my goodness, what if we fail? What if women will not like our boots? But small failures are just part of the process, and you can probably relate to that. There's always something that will come up that you will have to deal with. So there will be many failures along the way, but the important thing is not to get discouraged, to get back up and keep going.
And to learn from them. Oh, I have had little and big failures along the way, Anna. Yeah. And, you know, when you talk about naysayers as well, I don't know if this is just my defiance in me, but I had so many naysayers when I started the business. And to me, it was almost confirmation that I'm on the right path because I'm making them uncomfortable about something. So I almost have the opposite reaction. If someone says, well, that's not really a good idea, I'm thinking maybe it is a good idea and they're threatened. So
I love that.
yeah,
I love that. Getting fueled by I can relate to that because I get fueled. I'm slightly rebellious regarding certain things. I always hated it when people said like women cannot be engineers. I'm like, oh, let me prove you wrong. I'm going into
yeah,
engineering.
that's exactly it. That's how I think. Yeah. It just spurs me on and it sounds like it spurs you on. I think, well, let me show you then how it can be done. I love it. So, what about like looking at the next generation? How do we encourage girls to think like an entrepreneur? It's a really deep question.
Yeah, I think there's something that can be done in schools. It's just getting into this mindset of problem solving, um, thinking about different areas in life that boys and girls could improve, and especially girls. For I think that there's such a need for improvement in a lot of these areas: engineering, STEM, trades, and entrepreneurship. Um, I think we have to support more of the nonprofits that are out there supporting entrepreneurial thinking. It's also in our families, not just talking to the boys about business things and financials, but also including girls in this conversation and challenging their thoughts and making them think outside the box and encouraging them to also to build things. So I don't have children myself, but I love it that my dad always taught me to use different tools in the garage. So I think it's so cool that dads teach their boys and their girls um, to do the things together, like use different tools, like not be afraid to touch electric tools, so that will encourage them to physically build things along the way.
Yeah, I would agree. As you were talking, I just had flashbacks of growing up with my dad. My dad made sure I knew how to change the tire on, a flat tire on the car, knew how to change the oil, or he was an electrician. He'd have me up on the rafters, just crawling on the 2x4s to help him wire ceilings. So just that exposure overall in thinking differently, I think would break some paradigms there. I completely agree.
Yeah, and storytelling is a big one. Like we all need to see role models in our life so we can try to imitate, not reinvent the wheel, but try it's always helping, like, okay, these successful women have done it, like which path that they took. And those stories can be very powerful for young women to go that
Absolutely.
career path and start their own businesses.
Absolutely. So you mentioned a few times about giving back, the importance of giving back. And it sounds like Xena is very committed. You're very committed as an entrepreneur. So what drives that? And can you give me some examples of how you're giving back?
Our goal is to build a supportive community of women in STEM and the trades careers. We have an internal group on Facebook. It's called Xena Moves. Women are welcome to join. And this is a great way for them to connect, exchange, talk about their personal experiences. If they're looking for additional work gear, they can exchange ideas where to get it. Then we love to write blogs about inspiring women in and across the board. Sometimes we're interviewing someone in an executive role, being being potentially a CEO of a company, or a woman who loves working in construction, being more hands-on. One of the coolest stories that I think we had was about Anne-Marie Reigrut. She was responsible for the for the disaster in the Gulf of Mexico, the Horizon disaster. She was
Sure.
responsible to take the lead for 800 contractors to clean up the mess. And then this year she became Mrs. Texas. So this is kind of cool. You see her in an FR coverall, working with teams, like hands-on, and in the evening she might be attending a Mrs. Texas event, like combining this image of a badass woman with a woman who also loves to be feminine. And I think it's really cool to share more of those stories so that women know they can be both. And then we also love to support nonprofits that inspire girls to explore STEM and the trades. We just did a promotion last week around the International Women's Day, where we donated 3% of our sales to amazing nonprofits. One of them is Girl Scouts of America, specifically the STEM Pledge, and the other one is called Girls Garage, that is more hands-on and teaches girls how to use electric tools and build things with their hands. So we're always open to hear about additional nonprofits that we can support, and that will always be part of Xena's mission.
Love that. Love that. And that's bringing it all together, and that's fueling your passion for what you do. So with that, what is next for Xena? I heard you mention a few things. I didn't know if I'm allowed to ask or not, but maybe some more than just footwear. Are you thinking about expansion?
Yeah, we launched a functional blazer already, and we're working on a few other product releases that will come out this summer. So that functional blazer is something that I always wanted to have myself, working in the manufacturing space. You know, a lot of women's clothing just does not have pockets. A lot of the jeans or the blazers have fake pockets that just look great. So we decided to design finally a blazer that you can use to carry all the different PPE with you. You have safety glasses, earplugs, your phone, your pens that you have to carry to your meeting, constantly transitioning between the shop floor and the professional meetings. And it's also machine washable, which is nice because most meeting rooms are nice and clean, and then you may be out on a dusty, dirty, shop floor. So you need clothing that just works for you. So we started with that workwear blazer, and another feature it has is it has a jewelry clasp. You're not allowed to wear dangly jewelry and rings on the shop floor, so it has a feature where you can secure like a swivel hook, where you can safely secure your jewelry and have a pocket with a zipper for travel documents. I just flew to Florida, so I was wearing that blazer and was storing all of my travel items in it. And this summer we'll have, in a few weeks, we'll release a second workwear blazer, and we'll make soon an announcement for another PPE piece of clothing very soon as well. We're still finalizing the prototype.
I love it. I love it. I'm so excited to see where you take the company, Ana. It has been awesome talking to you. I have one other question for you, and this will be an easy one. If somebody is interested, if I run a manufacturing organization, where can they find your workwear?
Yeah, we have a website. It's called xenaworkwear.com, and Xena spelled Xena. And please follow us on Instagram, also Xena Workwear, Facebook, LinkedIn. And if you have any requests for additional functional workwear, we're always happy to hear your thoughts. And feel free to send me an email personally. My email is anastasia@xenaworkwear.com.
Oh, thank you so much, Ana. Of course, my big question to you, I just have one other little question, and I haven't had time yet. Do you offer the work boots in red?
Not yet.
Okay, so consider that my personal request to you, because I have a whole workforce over here. I would love to order some for my team. So I'm just putting that out there, Ana. Thank you so much for being our our interview today at Soul Source. We appreciate you and everything you are doing for women. So again, thank you so much and keep on keeping on. Take care.
Thank you so much. This was fun.
Thank you for listening. And if you want to hear more Soul Source, subscribe to the show. We're available wherever you listen to podcasts. And if there's something you want us to talk about, we can do that too. We have a page. It's on Facebook. It's called the Soul Source Society. And it's where we interact with listeners. We get content ideas for future shows. We talk about past content. And overall, we just have a lot of fun. That's Soul Source Society on Facebook. We hope to see you there. Soul Source is brought to you by Red Shoes, Inc., a leading agency that specializes in crisis and strategic communications, media relations, social media, and so much more. To learn more about Soul Source and Red Shoes, visit us at redshoesinc.com.